the night I hear him talk, the cold story ever told. Somewhere far along this road he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good luck to you all for listening to us talk about movies yet again for we don't know how long.
An hour.
Hopefully, maybe.
How many hours?
You're listening to 808 and Hot Takes, a show with hot new movies and even hotter takes. I'm Palmer Wells.
I'm Evan Parrish.
And I am Paul.
And today, we will be reviewing the highly anticipated new Edgar Wright film, Last Night in Soho.
More like right now in Soho.
Last Night in Soho.
More like right now in Soho.
Last Night in Soho.
My estimate for this podcast was going to be an hour 10. Based off the tone we're setting early on, it might actually be less. We'll have to see.
Might be longer than our watch-along a few nights ago that you all listened to.
Or it could be that. My estimate is an hour 10. And let's put that out there. We'll see if it's true.
Yeah, we're actually at the movie theater right now. We're about to watch along Last Night in Soho. We rented out the theater.
Oh, we should.
That'd be funny.
Oh, here comes security.
You know, sometimes we do talk about our movie-going experience at first, and I feel like it's notable to mention, not only this time, but last time as well, before the movies start, there is an unusual amount of advertisements that have been coming on lately. Not just the trailers for the movies, but over and over again, there's lots of advertisements for different products, like cars and some other things that I don't remember, but it's the same ones too. And it pushes the start of the movie 20 minutes from the regular showtime.
I was getting popcorn, so I didn't see the commercials.
They were the same ones
like
as the ones we saw at Eternals.
I feel like that's pretty standard, though, having the commercials.
No, not
the
that
trailers.
not this many.
The trailers usually start at the movie start time.
Yeah.
But no, we had like 10 minutes of commercials.
Our
after
showtime
the
was
start.
7:10. That's when the trailers should have started. But there was commercials starting from before 7:10, and they kept going on to like 7:20, and then the trailer started.
Yeah.
And the movie actually started at 7:30. I was checking my watch.
Interesting.
And, a little disappointed about that, but it didn't ruin the movie for me.
I like watching commercials in theaters. I don't know. But movie.
Yeah.
Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho
Thoughts?
was kind of one that, not as much as like No Time to Die or anything, but it also got... I consider it a COVID movie because
A little bit.
it got pushed a couple times because of COVID. And I remember when it first got announced, it was only a couple years off of Baby Driver, so I was like, "Yo, this could be cool," and it looked like it had that kind of retro vibe that I was into.
Mm-hmm.
But once the trailer started coming out, I started to see, oh, so this is more of a thriller than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of threw my expectations back and forth, but after watching it, I'm pretty at peace with it.
Yeah. Paul, what'd you think?
It's more or less what I expected. Like when you get a guy like Edgar Wright, who's known for more of his comedic style, fast-paced, lots of music, lots of good needle drops and everything, but you get that and combine it with like horror elements, there's not much to expect. So I was imagining maybe sort of a watered-down horror mixed with his sort of editing style, which is kind of what we got. There were a few pretty solid horror moments, I guess, but at the same time, it feels like it was more attuned to his style than what you'd see in a lot more classical horror. But that doesn't mean it was bad. I think it worked with the tone of the movie. But I did like it, is what I'm trying to say. I thought there's a lot of cool things going on. But I don't know. What about you?
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. It was such a fun movie to watch. Yeah, I was actually. I kind of surprised myself with how much I wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like since seeing the trailers and seeing the way it was lit and just its overall look, and then figuring out later that it's branded or it's categorized as a horror movie. I'm like, huh, that doesn't look like any horror movie I know, and that made me want to go see it because it just looked so different.
Yeah, I think the look of it is what makes it a lot better too. It's a very pretty movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the editing especially too. Some of the best I've seen in a while. Especially a lot of the shots where the characters are going back and forth, switching between characters very seamlessly.
There was some great stuff.
There's a lot of good cutting, and a lot of the effects too, and the lighting was really great. And I think that was probably the best part of the movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like Edgar Wright knew that, like, if nothing else, if one thing had to go perfectly, it would be that, which felt like a lot of in-camera trickery with the two female leads.
No, I was wondering
and the mirrors and stuff.
Because in the dance scene, which if I'm just gonna skip over to it right now.
First of all, spoilers in case you're new here. Carry on.
The
Paul.
dance scene where it's between the two female leads and they're switching with Matt Smith and going in and out. I feel like that wasn't cutting at some time.
So
I feel like
good.
Yeah.
Some of
the actresses were really switching with them when the camera moved,
Yeah.
and they might have tried that a lot.
Some of it, this is one of the movies where I wish I could just sit down with Edgar Wright, just sit down with the director and the DP and just ask how, because the dance scene was so much fun.
It was good.
And it looked so good, and the editing was great.
There's definitely some of it where it was cutting when it was just people walking by. But otherwise, when the camera moved and then she goes out of frame and comes back in.
Some of it I don't doubt was done in camera, but
Yeah.
like
It was good.
I want things I would ask them is not only just like how, but how long did it take? Because you're right, they would cut. Someone would walk in front of camera and they'd cut, or there was one shot where, like they're spinning and mid spin as she passes behind him, it cuts, and I'm like, oh, that was so good.
There's got to be some digital
But
stuff
then-
probably.
But then I'm
as
thinking
well,
like,
but-
how many takes would that get to? Because the speed has to be just
That's
right
true.
to cut. And
Yeah, it must
that
have
was
taken a
that
while.
was so well done.
It was very cool.
clean,
Yeah, that was
very
probably one of
clean.
the best pieces, the best set pieces in the movie.
Yeah, it was very clean.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that like attracted me at the beginning, which is the biggest reason why I was into it, because I mean it is London, but it's 60s, so
it's also a period piece at the
it's
same
your
time.
it's your period.
yeah, so it's kind of my vibe, like the big Thunderball
Yeah, the big
logo
Thunderball poster. I thought you'd like that.
is in the trailer. I'm like, oh, okay, this could be right up my alley. And it was only there for that one shot, but you know, it captured that
The mood.
you know, that aesthetic
Yeah.
quite well. You know, it didn't obsess over it like, you know, other period pieces, but it did exactly what it needed to in service of the story. So I thought that you know, technically speaking, I thought they hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and about like the whole '60s, I'm glad it wasn't a glorification of the '60s. It wasn't like, oh, the '60s is the best place to live. I was born in the wrong generation. Because she was like that at the beginning of the movie. She was like, oh, I wish I lived in the '60s. It was so great. But I like that, like it explored more just how dark it was and how dirty it really was in London. Like not to the fullest extent, but at least it didn't shy away from some of that stuff, because it really wasn't the best. Just like now, it's not the best either. It never really was the best, but it's good that it's not like, oh, this is the best time.
As the movie was going on, I started to realize, like, it's branded as horror, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's not like ghosts and spirits kind of horror. Maybe it's just like sexual assault and rape kind of horror. Because it was kind of depressing, man. Like, it was very, very real and very unexpected. I wasn't expecting that going in.
Yeah, and I'm glad it wasn't too graphic, because that wouldn't have been handled too properly. But the implication is enough to create horror and to create the reaction in the main character, Ellie,
Yeah.
which worked well to in terms of fear and horror motivation.
Yeah, the movie's not nostalgic at all.
Yeah, which is good.
And once they start to really kick up the whole dirtiness of it in terms of the sexual assault that was going on, I got a little concerned because I'm like, Edgar Wright shouldn't be the one to talk about this.
No, he shouldn't be making commentary on it. Which he didn't make commentary.
He didn't.
Thankfully.
It was
more like this happened, and this is like, it's just a fact more or less.
Yeah,
it happened, and it's like you shouldn't be nostalgic of the '60s because of this.
Yeah.
But
first, at first I was like, well, I don't know about this, but he didn't go too far in a direction maybe he shouldn't have gone. I thought it was done just enough where it's like, yeah, this is kind of how it really was without kind of making a statement or commentating on it because, yeah, I don't need Edgar Wright telling me about sexual assault.
Yeah, no. And, another thing is the whole thing with mental illness that the movie was sort of dancing around. And I was wondering what they were going to do with it because they're talking about Ellie's mom at the beginning who was suffering from mental illness or possibly schizophrenia. And she seems to be, like, suffering from something or she has something where she sees things that she's otherwise not supposed to. And I was wondering if the movie's all along just going to be like, oh, yeah, no, she's just losing it. And that's the ending. And I feel like that wouldn't have been very satisfying, but I think it worked that they just kept the sort of supernatural route throughout the end, and she really was seeing things from the past, and there really were like souls of dead people in the house and everything, and I think that was a better direction to go in, but it also left all the sort of mental illness depictions become sort of useless, and they didn't really need to go with that in the first place, I don't think.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, how the whole subplot about the mother and possibly her having a mental illness did feel kind of redundant, and I'm concerned that like they use the topic of mental illness just as a red herring for the viewer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe it's all in her head, maybe she's schizophrenic.
And then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter after all, like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I feel like that was handled not as great as it could have been, to the point where I don't think it had to be in the movie at all.
Yeah, the scene in the library where she starts running around and there's like all these ghouls everywhere, and then she almost stabs her classmate with the scissors.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that wasn't real anyway, because all those people, like, it turns out all those figures were just people. So it's like, oh, is it just in her head? Like, if she just tells herself, oh, if this isn't real, like, it'll be fine. And that sort of detracts from everything. But it makes more sense to have like actual dead people haunting her in some way, and fully go into that supernatural thing, which I feel like they could have done a bit better if they just focused on that, and it would have been better for the genre part of it too.
Yeah.
But they went into there in the end, so they made up for it a bit.
Yeah. I'm not sure how to feel about it, because I know we were chatting about it a little bit as we were outside of the theater. It's a little unclear to me what the purpose of it was. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate or anything. I'm just kind of looking back on the film. I guess it was only really used to create tension with the roommate and just kind of to show how like not nice the roommate is.
But either way, the roommate,
and it also served as a bit of a way to, I guess, kind of confuse the viewer, because you were left questioning whether or not it is in her head or if it's supernatural.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's the right thing to be done, but that's what they did here.
Yeah, I get why they were trying to do it, but it probably could have been handled in a more efficient manner and more, I guess, just satisfying and relevant to the narrative.
Yeah.
But you know what? It didn't ruin the movie. The movie still works otherwise, and it still had a lot of other great things.
I think that if certain things would pop up that would kind of make me like, I think I would the excellent cast certainly distracted me from those things.
Yes.
Because they none of them really missed a beat for me, at least. Like, I thought that Matt Smith, he has such a unique look, to him. And I thought that he played it pretty straight. He played it really well. And of course, like, I'm no huge diehard Anya Joe Taylor fan, but I mean, she's certainly talented. And I thought that...
Oh, yeah, no, she's great.
I thought that because she has a very unique kind of facial structure, so I thought that the way she was lit was very good.
Yeah,
and they certainly...
she looked really good in it.
They didn't just throw lights on her, you know, they...
And
really
the costumes and everything, the production design, that worked really well.
It was very good.
Everything all together, she was dressed very nicely, her hair. It was very good. It was a very good style. It all worked very, very well, and especially it contrasted a lot of the stuff in the present and in the real world and everything. I thought that was cool.
Very, very vibrant in the 60s.
I really liked the use of mirrors. The whole thing
the mirrors
too. That was
great.
That was great.
The mirrors were great. Yeah.
Especially when they keep switching between the mirrors and they do a little do-si-do.
And like they put the dead mom in the mirror, but I'm like, and that's another thing, you're gonna use the mirror anyway. If it's strange, I don't really understand that storyline, but
I guess she can talk to ghosts. That would be like, that's the very first thing that came into my head right this instant, is that maybe she can, like, maybe she's just got a connection with
the beginning grandma's like, oh, you can see things that other people can't see. It's like, oh, is she a medium? Is she a psychic?
It's not even that, like, she's just seeing things. She's communicating with them. So, yeah, I guess that would just, like, in this very instant, looking back on it, I think she just talks to ghosts.
Yeah, it would be easier just to do that outright. Like, just make that her character trait, because it would be more interesting. But, you know, it's fine. But everything about it technically was very good. It's a very technically well done movie.
Yep.
Yes.
The only thing that I didn't really like technically, was some of the CGI, some of the blood, when there was like stabbing and stuff, the blood didn't look great. Because I feel like practical blood always looks a lot better than CG blood. And sometimes I guess there's just a few things with the ghosts that didn't look completely right, but otherwise I like their design.
Yeah,
I think that worked really well, having very blank faces and very interchangeable with each other. It worked for the metaphor.
I liked the kind of kaleidoscope visuals we got of, like, the ghosts.
That was
and
really
it went on, like, it got more prevalent towards the end. I liked just the kaleidoscope, the kind of repeated visual, like, it's just stacked on top of each other. I thought that was cool.
And Edgar Wright's script, it's structured quite well, the way he the juxtaposition between the two female leads and how, you know, they're both really excited about their situation at the end, and kind of how they deteriorate over time, and, you know, going back and forth between those two. I mean, it was done well. I mean, I don't think it could have been done any better. It was done right, I think. Yeah. So I really felt that the back and forth was good. It wasn't jarring at all, like it can be sometimes.
Yeah, and making them sort of live together figuratively within that mindset, and then making the actual two characters live together in the same house is also interesting. And I wish we got a little more of the older Alexandra. A little more of her character, more interaction, because we only see her in a few scenes, and I feel like it's not warranted enough to make her the real antagonist or anything. Like, I predicted it, and it makes sense, and it's like a good twist in a way, but it felt less deserved than it would have been if she had more connection with Ellie throughout the movie.
I really like how we wasted no time getting the fusion of the two characters in, like, past and present. Like, she goes to sleep the first night, and I'm like, okay, now we're getting to the past, and I'm sitting there wondering how long it's going to take before we start to see them, like, become one, or what's going to happen. And it happened within, like, 5-10 minutes of that, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're right into this now. And I like that.
There's no time to waste when he has all these other things to put in.
Yeah. I like that. We got a bit of a persona shot.
Yeah.
A bit of the fading back and forth until they become one. I thought that was cool. Even though I don't like the movie Persona, I thought it was a cool little, whether it was a reference or just, like, similar visuals.
Yeah,
I connected that. I thought it was cool.
I think I like the character of John. I think he was good.
Oh yeah, no, he's good supporting character.
Yeah.
He was very necessary for motivating the plot and getting a lot of things. I thought he was done pretty well. He's a really nice guy. He's very likable, which is good. I thought he was gonna die. I was worried for a second because he just gets stabbed.
He just
in the
gets
stomach
stabbed.
too. I feel like maybe his
eyes were like
maybe
logically.
But it's nice
they
to
got
see
him
him,
out, I guess.
see him around. But he was good to see someone on her side. She needed someone to not be mean to her. And I think it made sense that when they were going to sleep together that she started freaking out and she was seeing everything. Yeah. And he was still nice to her the day after. Yeah. Which is good. He's a good character.
Yeah, he was certainly written where like this. If there's one character that will do no wrong, that's going to be the one character.
Yeah. If it's a story about how everyone is terrible, then at least one guy's nice.
Kind of need to have at least one guy to kind of rely on.
I also liked some of his bits. Like, I it's taken me a long time to get used to North London too. Where are you from? South London.
Yeah.
Or of course I have a car. How do you think I'm going to get to North London from South London? I'm like,
it was their interactions were charming too. When he's like, oh yeah, I can keep you up all night. He starts laughing at himself. I thought that was very natural. People do that.
Yeah.
So it was stuff like that is good. Is some good dialogue and interactions.
Did we buy that last interaction between the two characters there? The old lady when she's explaining basically everything.
Or we're getting to the end.
Oh yeah, the climax sort of thing.
Like I could pick up that it was her because like she refers to herself Ellie calls her by her like full name Alexandra. Like when she's calling for the apartment, and I just remembered her saying, "Oh, Alexandra, it's me. We spoke on the phone."
No, she said Mrs. Collins.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
I could have sworn I heard
her name.
That's the
point of the mail.
That's why as soon as you see the mail, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I heard her name early on, and then like midway through the movie, I'm like, same name as the lady. I could have sworn I heard.
I just made the connection because I figured it was going to be that because it made sense.
It's but I was thinking halfway through because I realized that Sandy was, when we first heard that Sandy was Alexandra, I could have sworn that we heard the landlady's name early on. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And then we get in, even before the mail, there's like the ballet dancer and the cigarette. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is Sandy. I buy it, especially because when the cop says like, oh, I went looking for her, but I guess some people don't want to be found. I'm like, okay, so she is alive.
Yeah, I figured. I knew the cop was. I knew the old man wasn't. Like, I figured he's not going to be the bad guy.
That was a great twist. I didn't think the
I was gonna be like, oh, she's gonna be mad at him, and I thought she was gonna kill him. I thought she was gonna straight up kill him, and then be like, uh-oh.
I didn't think the old man was the cop, and I didn't expect him to get hit by the car and just send his head through the windshield.
I saw the car coming once they.
Once he got on the thing, but I didn't expect it to lead up to that.
Yeah, that was. I liked that whole.
And I didn't know he was going to be the cop from earlier, which made sense. He's like, oh, I took care of the girls and everything. Yeah, sort of makes sense, and it makes sense that he's an old guy, so he's sort of misogynistic. He's a little weird, little rude, and follows people around. But
I liked that whole bar scene, like her just in the bar interviewing him, and then he sounds like a terrible guy, and then you get upstairs and she throws the beer and you're like, oh, is she actually gonna kill him? And then he gets hit by a car. I'm like, oh crap! And then like her reaction too to seeing this guy who's a cop, like her reaction to seeing someone get hit by a car and die.
Yeah, and also it's her fault too.
It's her fault, and he's a cop, and she's just kind of in shock. I'm like, oh, it's
like,
I buy this scene. But yeah, we've kind of escaped your question of do we buy the.
Oh yeah, no, I think
the ending. I do.
It's not that I don't buy it, but I feel like it could have been done more interestingly than just her delivering a monologue. Like if we got Ellie discovering the body somehow or the corpses underneath the floorboards, I feel like that would have been a lot more shocking and better for the atmosphere that was created throughout the entire second half of the movie.
Yeah.
Instead of just her sitting down and poisoning her and then like whole house catching fire and the big thing. I sort of like her going up the stairs and it being like a performance.
Mhm.
That was
scene.
quite
That
good.
was
Yeah.
cool. I like that, but otherwise, the whole reveal could have been more interesting than just maybe like a Get Out situation with the tea and everything.
Well, that was my comparison, but the difference there is that, you know, that was kind of my problem with the scene, is that, you know, we just kind of sit there and she spoon feeds it to us.
Yeah.
While in something like Get Out, you know, there's a lot less exposition, a lot more subtext. We're kind of making realizations kind of as the scene goes on in that hypnotism scene.
Exactly.
And this one kind of just like spelled it out for us, which I feel like that might be us because we've become really accustomed to maybe the film formula. We pick up on things more than maybe the average viewer does. Maybe the average viewer needed that explanation more than we did.
Yeah, but I feel like also treating your viewers like they're dumb is also, it's like it makes it less fun sometimes, because I feel like Edgar Wright is able to, like, he'd be able to create more clever moments in his movies. We've definitely seen more clever stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on the ending and the exposition dump more specifically, because like there's lots of things about that ending that I really like.
But I expected Sandy to be the old lady. I didn't expect her to be killing all the guys. That's what surprised me. I liked that twist. That was more interesting.
Like things like the poison in the tea, I thought was cool. I thought that she didn't just like keel over dead. She was like sitting there holding her stomach, which I know I haven't seen as many movies as you guys, but that was something kind of new for me. Like poison in other movies is like, oh, it melts your face, or you start to like go into cardiac arrest or something, but she's like holding
Although
her
at
stomach
some point, even though it seemed like it was unbearable, she started running up the stairs, and then she got into the room, she's like holding her, and she runs down.
The continuity there of her.
Me looking, because I just look for ways to excuse things like that. I would just chalk that up to adrenaline. It might be a cheap out for you two, but I'm just
no, it's like you do whatever you want.
Things like that, I liked that because like I knew she was Sandy, but I still found it satisfying in a way that like the vision, it wasn't entirely wrong. We just didn't see the full picture, because like we saw the knife with the eyes and we see her covered in blood, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, okay, maybe Sandy is dead, maybe not you, but like, oh, Sandy must have died, and then you realize that Sandy's alive. So her vision's wrong, which we had in another movie recently that we reviewed. I forget which one that was. That was just in Dune.
Oh, yeah.
So her vision is wrong, but to a certain extent it's also right, because they reused some of the shots. Like Sandy is covered in blood because she's stabbing him from below. I'm like,
she just interpreted it wrong because
that's cool. We didn't get
her perspective,
the full picture
because she was scared of everything. Yeah.
So I liked that. I liked the people in the floorboards, and
I like them saying help
like
and everything.
That
too.
Was
cool. And then when she opens the door, there's a bunch of frightened guys because they're all murdered. That was sort of, I thought it was sort of interesting.
And I didn't care for that.
I didn't care for the characters, but I thought it was cool to just show
I didn't want them victimized at all.
That's true.
They shouldn't be.
That's fair enough.
I did find it a little... never mind.
They shouldn't be at all.
I found it interesting.
I like seeing their faces, but not like... It could have been done differently where you still see their faces to reveal that they're not like the no-face ghoulish people, they're real people.
Yeah.
That not just like imaginary people, which is good to reveal them as real people, but I mean, I guess the victimizing isn't the best word for that.
Yeah, I was concerned for a moment that she was going to be like, okay, I'll help you.
But
she did say no.
But she did say no. She said no, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness.
I was worried. It's like, are you really going to kill this person? Then you're going to go to school as like as someone who's killed someone?
She wasn't going to kill her.
And she's like, no, I'm not going to...
I thought she was going to call the police and be like, please help.
Those men shouldn't be sympathized with at all.
I also like that when Sandy opens the door, like, we get their reflection in her glasses, so I'm like, oh, she can see them too. At least I assume.
No, it looks like she could see them
too.
For sure. She was being haunted a bit too.
And I liked that it wasn't just Ellie seeing things, like other people could see it.
It mostly it makes sense because Sandy's connected to it.
Yeah, exposition wise, coming back to that point, I'm 50-50 on it. I understand that it's not fun just having. I didn't realize that we were just being shoved exposition in the moment, but you're very right about that point.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I think it would have been cool to discover that on our own, or have like Ellie discover that and we go along with it. But on the other hand, as she was feeding me exposition, I could look back on things and connect it. So, exposition wise, from the set deck, I could gather that it was Sandy, and then she started feeding us exposition, and then when she's saying like, "Oh, I killed all of these people," I jumped back. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So her kind of throwaway line of if you weren't so scared, I would have killed him. I would have killed him for you bringing a guy over.
Yeah.
And then as she's saying that, I'm like, oh, so you actually meant that. Like, looking
yeah,
back,
I thought that
okay.
was cool. That part, like when you realize, like, oh, she meant that.
Yeah, and there was.
She asked, "Are you okay?" As if maybe he was doing something to her, which is
right.
why
That also makes sense.
Yeah, and there was another line, and I had it before we got a little sidetracked there. I had another. Maybe it'll come back to me. There was another piece of exposition that she said, and I was able to just connect it to something else earlier on, and I thought, oh, okay, that's also cool. So, in a way, her talking meant I could kind of go back and connect things, which I didn't mind. Maybe it was just her telling us that there was people... Oh, it was. She's like, oh, I killed them, and there's a visual of them in the walls, and that allowed me the chance to go back to the very beginning when she's like, oh, I couldn't bear to tear the room apart and renovate it and make it new because there's a ton of bodies in there.
Was there?
I believe.
Are they
so.
metaphorical?
Nah, I believe, because there was that one visual of like her like hammering up floorboards and putting like drywall up. I'm like, okay, I guess we might not ever know.
Like when she walks into the room, the room's not destroyed at all, so like that's never really.
Yeah, the ghosts didn't actually destroy the place.
Oh yeah, no, it was obviously like a ghostly destruction.
But as she was like explaining it all to us, I jumped all the way back to the start. I'm like, that's why you didn't want to renovate the room, because there must be a ton of bodies in the walls.
Also, she said, keep the drains plugged during the summer because the smell comes through.
So
that makes sense.
Maybe there's bodies in there.
So like
that's cool, yeah.
Her explaining it all to me, for better or worse, just gave me a bit of time to just kind of sit there and go back and think about some things. Yeah. That's why I'm 50-50 on it, because it would have been more fun.
In terms of narrative, it was good. Like how it explained the story. I liked that the story ended up that way, but I feel like it could have been more exciting, the delivery of it.
Yeah, that's why I'm 50-50, because I like how well it wrapped up, how everything came back in on itself, but it would have also been fun to discover.
I felt like the second act of the movie was pretty messy, and it was sort of confusing in what direction it wanted to go in, because I got what it was doing. It's like, oh, she's scared, she keeps seeing things, but what's happening? What's she gonna do with this?
Yeah.
What's she gonna solve the murder?
I was waiting for like, okay, but what's... Yeah, and I don't know, I felt like I was kind of like upset that, Sandy became the antagonist at the end.
Right.
I felt like I wish that like, I don't know what the other direction would be, and I'm not bummed, it doesn't really affect the way I feel about the movie too much, but I was kind of like, oh man, because they were lying the whole movie, and she had all these terrible things happen to her that I thought that might have and even could have gone a little differently. Mind you, I don't know what the big final climax would have been then. Yeah. But I don't know, I felt like maybe that didn't... I was hoping maybe that wouldn't have been that way. Like maybe... Like, I don't know, they I
feel like they could have still made her like...
like she straight up kills her, or attempts to kill her. I'm like, oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, no, because I feel like it would make sense for her to be portrayed as delivering justice by killing all those other guys, but at the same time protecting herself by trying not to go to prison. She doesn't want to go to jail because she morally didn't do anything wrong, even if she did break the law.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like it makes sense that she's defending herself, and that's why she wants to get rid of the girl, because she wants to not have any evidence and all that. So that makes sense, but they could have done it in a little less of an antagonistic light. But since we're seeing the movie from Ellie's perspective, the fear is from, oh, she's going to die. And even if this person isn't an evil person, it's still a threat to her, and that's why she's portrayed like that. I feel like it sort of made sense that way.
Did I hear her say, "I don't want to go to prison. I've been in prison my whole life"? Did she say
she
something like that?
She said
That's a good line.
Yeah.
That's a good line.
Yeah, she said something like, I've been in a bunch of hell my whole life.
Yeah.
It was very, very brief, but like I liked how they were still kind of connected in the end. Like she's going at her with the knife on the stairs, and she cuts her hand.
Yeah.
And it's the same,
made note of that.
I'm like,
made note of that.
that's nice.
Yeah.
It was also, I guess, was it shown to us? I don't remember all the headlines from her scrolling through all the newspapers.
I don't think we saw many missing people's headlines. No.
Because like when she was scrolling through looking for Sandy's last name, maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. I felt like I was seeing a lot more like missing men than women. I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then in the end, it's
I thought it was cool that newspaper articles were all the murder victims.
Yeah, so
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Also, looking back on it, it looked really nice, but thinking about the logic of it, like, yeah, you don't want to go to jail, but you'd prefer to burn to death.
Yeah, I think the fire was a bit
way
much.
to go.
And also the fire was very like CGI fire. I don't think it looked great either.
I was thinking about it on the way home too. Like, she doesn't have a gun, because that wouldn't really fit the story. We didn't get any guns. But like, her two ways out that she was okay with is stabbing herself and bleeding to death, or burning alive.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there on our walk home. I'm like, neither of those are good or swift deaths. Like, they're both terrible.
Yeah. She didn't have a lot of options.
She didn't have a lot of options, and I understand that. But it's like, what a way to just decide to go.
But also, even if she didn't die, she wouldn't have gone to jail. I don't think.
Maybe that says that there are bodies in there then.
Oh yeah, but even if, like, say the house wasn't on fire, and say if she didn't explain herself to Ellie, and she was just like, oh yeah, you can go. If she wants to go, you let her go. She doesn't tell anyone about anything. She doesn't even know that it's her. No one's gonna find out. She could have gone away with it. Even if like the police came and checked
let Ellie go.
Yeah, she just let Ellie go. Ellie was not suspicious of her at all.
I guess she's so paranoid at this point.
Yeah, I know, but it makes sense, but
so you're uncomfortable with her killing herself?
No, I guess. No, I'm not uncomfortable with her killing herself. I guess that it fit with the ending. It was just more like, thinking about it. Those are two really bad ways to go out.
Yeah.
And also, I was, because it looked very nice. It was shot very well, that last bit. But I was also thinking about it as we were walking home. Like, the knife was still in the room. So if she really wanted to just bleed to death, she could have picked up the knife and cut herself again. Going, yeah. But she's like, no, burning to death is the way for me.
It's more cinematic.
It is, and I'm okay with that. I'm just like,
the character's
trying to get into the character's head, and I'm like, neither of those are good options.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just.
But even after that, like, if we talk about the ending, where she just shows up again in the mirror.
Yeah, I didn't care for that.
That was a little strange.
It was a little weird. I at least liked that she wasn't scared of it again, and it didn't go into like, oh, it's gonna happen all over again. But at least she like said like a little hello. She was smiling. But it also doesn't make sense because now she sees her mom and also this dead lady.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
It's like you could have cut like 5 seconds earlier and it would have been fine.
Yeah, no, but it would. Even the whole ending part, like, it wasn't as necessary to like
the epilogue.
Yeah, you could have even ended it with her in the ambulance. I thought it was going to,
fine,
and I was like, oh, she's back.
I wouldn't have liked that.
I guess.
I don't think.
No, I'm fine with the ending, but
I'm fine with the ending too. But like looking back on it, like I know we complain about some movies ending quite quickly. We were in the ambulance and then we cut to black. I'm like, nah, don't end it like this. I would have been so disappointed because like I'm curious to like, would John have lived? Would there have been like news stories? How would the school dynamic play out? So I liked the epilogue. It
is. I feel like it's maybe, like it's wrapped up in a pretty little bow at the end, and I guess I don't know. I just feel like the movie wasn't going that way.
Yeah, it was just like not everything's pretty.
Like it just seems like not out of place. Like I'm fine with it. It just seemed like, oh, okay, that's a pretty bow right there. I wasn't really expecting that. But yeah, and her, I liked. It was kind of back and forth, with Ellie and old Sandy there at the end. You know, one second she's trying to kill her, the next she's like, oh. But I was okay with her staying upstairs and dying because, you know, she knew she was gonna go to jail, and that would just dig up, you know, her entire past, which was hell for her then. So to go through it again would be hell all over again.
Yeah.
So I guess that was her rationale there.
Yeah, I should rephrase that. I'm perfectly comfortable with like the decision for her to kill herself rather than going to jail.
Yeah.
I'm just more uncomfortable that like I'm more uncomfortable with the fact that she's comfortable with those two options.
I guess that just says a lot about how bad, you know, going through that her past again would be.
Yeah. So
maybe I'm looking too into it. But.
No, like I definitely liked the ending. It's just like the more I've thought about it, like those are two of the worst ways. Like she might as well have put drowning herself on that list because they were not good ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had. Oh yeah, I think maybe my last point before final thoughts for me at least is I think it was really good direction. Like they just, you know, the juxtaposition. You know, that's what the movie. That's the key, you know, aspect of this film is juxtaposing those two characters and situations, and that was done pretty flawlessly. I thought if nothing else, that was done very right. Mm-hmm. And all the set pieces with Anna Joy Taylor's character, I thought were good because, you know, they crossed that line into the supernatural, into the fiction, where, you know, it's not real life, you know, it's beyond the ordinary world. And I thought that was done well, and I don't think they went overboard. I think they leaned into it enough. So, you know, if nothing else, you know, they did that right.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The one thing that I've been thinking about as we were talking, and I don't think I'll ever get an answer to this, but it's just something I've thought of myself. Because earlier on in the movie, when Sandy's explaining her ridiculous rental agreement of you have to pay 2 months up front and you have to pay another 2 months, I'm like,
weird.
That, and I could hear other people in the audience, they realize like that's a rough rental agreement.
4 months of rent up front.
Yeah, like the audience and ooh to that deal. And she was saying how people just kind of leave in the middle of the night, and I've been thinking about it now. Like, do you think the other people staying there were haunted, and that's why they left? Because in the end, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to be this person to just leave in the middle of the night, but I have to leave." And thinking about it now, I'm like, I wonder if the other people could also see the ghosts.
Because it would make sense, because it's not like she has anything special. Well, I mean, if she does see ghosts, then
we were talking about that earlier. That would conflict with that.
That's one thing that I'm curious about. Like, did the other people see the ghosts too? Because it might have been possible. I've just connected those lines, so I'm wondering if maybe other people could see the ghosts.
Also, why did she advertise her apartment in a dorm room? In a dorm.
I was thinking about that. It seemed like a strange place for her to be.
Because people are living there.
Yeah.
Why would they want to? It's like almost as if it was just for her for like her specific situation where she doesn't want to live there anymore.
Well, dorm rooms. I mean, you get a bad roommate, you want to leave. It might make a bit of sense.
Second year too.
I
Maybe
guess.
looking for a place
Second year. Yeah.
Even then, I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I
It's
didn't
not a
think
big-
about that.
It's not a
but
big detail.
I didn't
but
stress about
Yeah.
it too much.
But yeah, I think.
I was more surprised that she could fall asleep in the corner of a party and no one like stacked beer cans on her. Or drew
Yeah,
on her
I
face
thought
or
you were
something.
draw on her face. But
Yeah, and she just left alone. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
The mean university students turned out to be quite nice.
I mentioned to you while we were watching him, I thought it was funny that when she got to class, they were reading the attendance of all 200 people in that lecture hall, and that how that would take 20 minutes to do. That would take a while.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but it's whatever. Maybe it's like that in London. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Does that bring us to final thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna
or
say if we don't have
any
anything else to
we
say,
can-
more
I figured
points?
I'd talk about we just talk about the thing as a whole.
Yeah, I'd just before we jump into final thoughts, I'd touch on the music one last time.
Oh,
'cause I
yeah.
don't think we've spoken about the
No, we
music
did, but
enough.
it was good.
There were physical needle drops. You
The
said there were good needle drops. There were
Yeah,
physical needle drops.
That is true, and the sound design and sound mixing as a whole was really good. Like everything about like the classical music playing is slowly distorting and turning into more of the thriller soundtrack. I think that worked out really well. A lot of the sound effects and the voices and the distortion in the voices worked really well, and I think everything in the sound department was excellent.
Yeah, I think it was right to not focus heavily on licensed music, but me, like I know a few more 60s songs than you two. So me, I'm sitting there hoping to just wall to wall, just 60s tunes that I love. And I didn't get that, but that was that.
But they used enough that
should've
was
been that way.
properly motivated for the scenes.
Yeah,
and it
there
worked
was-
well. Especially the downtown theme, that worked really well.
That was really good. That was well done.
Yeah, there was some great music.
I wonder if that's her voice.
It might be.
The one
My first thought was no, but I don't know. Maybe
I think
she
it's
could
definitely ADR, but I
Yeah.
think
The one-
because I'm not surprised if she could sing.
the one bit that I don't know, maybe I need to watch it again. In the theater I was kind of 50-50 on it, was when she was chasing after Sandy in the street and she's being like surrounded, like she goes into the red light district and it's raining and she's being surrounded by all these ghosts and like she trips, and that was kind of like a chase scene, but we stuck with like a fairly upbeat
At
fairly
first,
upbeat
it was
60s
upbeat.
song.
What, during
I was like, I don't know if this is actually fitting the pacing.
did that come right after the? Oh no, it was daytime in another part, wasn't it? Where it was she's seeing them during the day and she was running around. No, was it?
I'm pretty sure it was at night when it was raining and she was chasing her and then she falls in the puddle. There was one chase where we stuck with the upbeat music. I really liked the song, but in the moment I felt like it didn't quite match with
There
what was
was
happening.
a part that I did like. I think it might have been. She's like running out during the daytime, and she starts seeing Matt Smith and Anya Taylor.
Maybe
Joy.
it was that
like in the intersection there.
Yeah, and then she starts seeing the ghouls all around, and I thought that was cool. First of all, doing it in the daytime.
Yes.
the sort of horror thing.
Just from the library.
Yeah, and then she runs out, and then the music slowly starts turning from the song, and it starts chopping up a bit, and then mixing.
Mm-hmm.
It slowly turns into the score, which I thought that was a cool transition. So you didn't notice it at all, and you're like, oh, it's like sampling a bit of the music in the background while the score plays over with all the strings and everything, and I thought that was cool, and it turned into her being overrun by the ghosts and she falls down and everything.
Right.
I don't know, I thought that was cool in the music.
Well then, apart from that one very brief scene that I can't even properly remember.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if it was real. I loved the song selection.
Mm-hmm.
The score was great. The timing of all of the other songs I really liked. Yeah, I'm gonna go listen to some more 60s music tonight.
Yeah, I don't think I won't be thinking about it for too long, but yeah, they certainly,
It worked very well.
generally in service of the story,
Yeah.
which usually isn't the way Edgar Wright goes. You're just like, oh, I
That's
love
true.
this song, let's put it in the movie.
Yeah.
But I felt like they were mostly in service of the story, and it was her singing in the film.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I'm not surprised.
It was all her.
She seems very talented.
She's a great voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. She's a great performer.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're seeing her in more movies. But yeah, no, music was good for the movie. It worked well, and that's about the extent of it.
Yeah. Do you want to lead that into your final thoughts,
Yeah.
Paul?
If you don't have anything else to say.
I was just gonna say we've been talking a lot about how do we feel what's her name playing Ellie?
Yeah, I don't remember the actress's name.
How do we think she worked with
I think she was good.
Anna?
I thought she was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she was good. She had a lot of good moments, and her facial expressions were really good.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of good emotion.
She's got talent for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen her before.
First, like,
I don't know.
big feature.
JoJo.
She was in Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, that's who she is.
Yeah.
Ah.
I think other than that, no.
Yeah. So.
But I thought
Yeah.
she was good. I thought, I mean, when she got her hair like that, I mean, from the back, there was
Oh,
resemblance there.
I think she looked great.
Which is
I
obviously
didn't,
what
I
they were
didn't see it at
thinking.
the start, but then once we got the hair, I'm like, oh, okay, this is yeah.
You know,
So yeah, I thought she was
yeah,
great. The whole cast I thought was so. There was no one, that was I didn't care. Even the old policeman.
Yeah, he was good too.
He had a good look too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone was great. It was a great
Good. It was
performance
well cast,
from
yeah.
everyone.
And the old grandma, was that.
She
Nice
looked like
old
she was about to
lady.
die. She looked like she was about to turn
Yeah.
into dust. Her eyes are sunken in. There were dark holes
They
around
were,
them.
yeah.
But she was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
We
looked a
might
few
not
days-
see her in any more movies after this. But she was
Yeah.
she was good in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
There was in memory of at the end of the credits. Maybe
hope
that
it's
was
not.
her.
God, I hope not.
Yeah, oh no, we need to get a Google search on that poor actress.
I don't think so.
I hope not. But yeah,
It might have been a friend of
it
his.
started with for Diane. I wonder who Diane is. Maybe a wife or something.
Oh. Diana Rigg plays Miss
Oh
Collins.
no.
No, Miss Collins. No,
Yeah.
she's dead.
Yeah.
No.
But the
the other old
antagonist,
lady
yeah.
is dead.
Wow.
When?
September 10th, 2020.
Wow.
2020.
2020.
So after they filmed it, but before they finished.
See, it was
post-production.
delayed a while.
Jeez, that's rough.
What about the other old lady? Is she still kicking? No way.
What's her name?
What was her name? Her character's
Oh,
name?
it's just the
Graham.
grandma.
I don't know.
Was
She
it
didn't even have a name.
was it Peggy Turner?
Oh yeah, Turner is Ellie's last
Oh,
name.
she's
so
still
yes.
alive.
She's
That's
still
her, right?
going?
That's her. She's only 79.
Oh okay, yeah.
Maybe did they make her look older?
They definitely
She
made her
looked
look
pretty
old.
old.
She looked very old. But imagine working with an actor and they just die before you release the movie.
Yeah.
That's rough. Anyway, rest in peace to Diane.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yes.
For Diane, yeah,
For
it's gotta be
Diane.
who it was for then.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. I remember the
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise.
Well, this will be a hard transition.
Do you guys have
Final
anything
thoughts?
else to say?
Final thoughts. Rest in peace, Diane.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I like the movie, and
Yeah.
it's a very cool concept, very good concept, and very good style throughout, great technical style, but I feel like it was a bit muddy in execution in some parts, but that didn't stop the movie from being enjoyable.
Yeah.
And although I say that, I think Edgar Wright should stick to his classics. I think the Cornetto trilogy was his peak so far, and I think he should go back to that. Just little British towns with some weird guys doing weird things, and cutting it all to a bunch of fun music. I think he should do that again. That and the Scott Pilgrim. I think those were his best movies. And if he goes back to that, he can do some really great stuff. Especially now that he's learned so much with, because I love the visual style of this movie with the lighting, and you combine that with his comedies. I think he can make some really great stuff that way.
Do you have that's your final thought?
Yeah.
Any rating or anything?
Oh, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5 or something.
4 out of 5?
I think it's good.
Cool.
It's not not the most impressive thing I've seen ever, but I really liked a lot of it, especially technically.
Evan, final thoughts?
I really liked the movie. It was a really fun watch.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to seeing it, and I'm glad it didn't disappoint.
No, it didn't.
The visuals were stunning, as I was hoping for. really, really cool look. Whether or not it was a true horror, I think it's a very unique look for a movie branded as horror.
Oh, definitely.
For a movie in the horror
Very
genre.
stylistic. I would consider it a horror.
And I think that's why I was anticipating it so much, was because of how different it looks from other horror movies. Like, it's a horror movie with a ton of vibrant, fun colors and music and dancing and
very cool stylistic.
nice lighting. It's not like a single hard light and a big scary monster. So yeah, I really like that. There were some issues with some of the writing, a little bit of the ending, but I enjoyed so many other aspects of it that
it's okay,
it doesn't bother me at all.
Alright.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of what else to say. Popular songs from popular upbeat songs from the 60s paired with ghosts and supernatural beings haunting a fashion student in London is an interesting concept for a horror
Haven't
movie.
seen that before.
And I really liked it.
It is certainly unique, if nothing else.
Yeah, so I guess the essence of originality still is out there.
Perhaps.
Last Night in Soho has salvaged the burning corpse of cinema
Left by Free Guy.
from the clutches of Free Guy.
Yeah.
I guess we can move forward with optimism. Would you be able to rate it at all?
4 out of 5.
Okay.
That's my rating. And carry on.
Quick sidebar before my final thoughts.
Yeah.
The first time that I was really struck by the visuals was her first night in her bedroom with those signs.
Oh
flickering.
yeah, I like that a lot.
I was like, oh, this is tight.
And it was a quick solid red, yellow, white, blue, red, white, blue.
The continuity from shot to shot wasn't easy.
Some of the I even noticed at one point the lighting switches matched up with the score.
Oh yeah, no, it's when the song started playing and it was on beat with the
That's
switch.
an Edgar Wright signature for sure.
Yeah.
That shot of her turning over in her bed, pulling the sheets,
and
the
it
camera
zooms out.
Zooms out so far, and the sheets carried on. I'm like, wow.
And I thought what was cool is later on when she wakes up again, the light's only red. It's only the red flashing.
That's true.
And so I thought that was cool, indicating that something's wrong.
Yeah.
It's just a little thing, but it works great with the.
There were lots of very, very cool shots.
Final thoughts. To start with the things that were meh. I was a little uncomfy with the when he was getting into the sexual assault stuff at first, because I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna go, and it was actually, I was kind of uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't know if this is the space to have the discussion. Also, the whole mental health subplot, I feel like could have been removed entirely and it wouldn't have changed much. Like I said earlier, I do feel like it was used as a red herring for what was going on. And I don't think mental health should be used as a red herring.
Yeah.
So those two things made me uncomfy, but not to the detriment of the film. Like, there was a lot to like, which we've noted. And yeah, I'm certainly wasn't disappointed.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a pretty general consensus. I feel like I care strongly enough about the first 2 points I made to, I'd probably keep it at 3.5. I wouldn't go 3.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable with the 3.5.
Fair enough.
Because there was just so much to like, and we've talked about the ending enough where, a lot of good, some bad, but overall, a strong film that I feel like probably would watch it again one day with a group, maybe not on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I could see myself
the
watching
group is
it down
better
the
too,
road.
especially if we can all talk during it too and be like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was, I know I pointed to you a few times, the one that comes to mind, because I love it when there's things happening in the background that the character can't see. So when she was scrolling through the files and, you see a ghost here and you see a ghost there, and I kind of pointed to you up through the screen, I'm like, it's a good shot. I like those shots.
Yeah, Edgar Wright's vision certainly came through. You could see what he was doing.
You can see that it's him.
So yeah, certainly strong. Yeah, I would stick with the 3.5. I thought it was pretty solid. So it'd be in my top 10. I mean, 2021 isn't super incredible, but it's top 10 2021 for me right now.
So far, yeah. Yeah, no. I think
Probably.
movie going experience was definitely improved by a nice commercial beforehand, where we saw a nice Kingo in there.
Ah.
What, really?
There was
you
a-
missed
I missed it.
You missed
I
it.
missed Kingo
There
for
was it was a
popcorn.
Lexus commercial where Kingo was driving the car and he's like, "Oh, is that a battle going on over there?"
And I made a joke about how that's
Yeah,
where he was
that's where
during
he
the final
was.
battle
Yeah.
of
Oh,
Eternals.
I'm like, I mean, in hindsight, it makes Eternal so much better. Now we get it.
He's
Yeah.
off selling Lexuses.
And
Lexuses.
So that was Eternals 2.
Eternals 2
Yeah.
is a Lexus commercial.
Yeah.
And
The Kingo
and yeah,
Chronicles.
that put us in a good mood to enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh.
Yes, Last Night in Soho has gotten us out of our movie-going
That's true.
slump where
It
we
has
had
been a
like
bit of a slump.
three brutal movies in a row.
Yeah.
Or at least three.
Yeah.
Eternals was mixed, but then Free Guy was
Yeah.
fairly negative, and Home Alone was also fairly negative.
Yeah.
But Last Night in Soho, 3.5 4-star movie.
Yeah. Good movie.
Good movie.
Yeah,
Good movie.
would recommend because
Would recommend.
it's unique. It really is quite unique for
Yeah,
a horror
really.
movie.
It's nice to see something different.
Yeah, like you won't have seen something super like this before.
Yeah,
So
really
so.
fun. Fairly easy watch. The pacing is good. The editing's good. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Unique story.
I think
So-
it'll definitely be nominated for awards for editing, sound,
technical
and
aspects
a lot. All
probably
the
good,
all the technical awards. It'll get something for that,
Yeah,
which is good.
yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. So I guess just over an hour. That's not too
Yeah,
bad.
we
Yeah.
did good. So I thought it was gonna be longer, but
Yeah.
I've tried to pad our runtime to get us to 1 minute 10.
and you're the
like
one
I
actually
said.
adding on more this time too.
Yes, trying to get it up to 1 minute 10.
Oh, because it's
But-
re-predicted.
Yeah, I said,
Ah.
I bet we'll get to 1 minute or 1 hour 10.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I did actually have stuff to say.
Yeah, no, that's
I
good.
I enjoyed this movie.
But yeah, to our listeners, thanks for sticking around. If you're still here,
Hopefully this was a bit more manageable this time.
might be more special episodes coming up with guests. We'll see.
Yes.
If we have the time.
Yeah.
Subscribe for more.
Like
quick,
and subscribe.
Yeah, quick shout out to the people we watched a movie with tonight.
Yes. Other than No Time to Die is our first podcast movie with a big group of people.
But they didn't come to the podcast.
So that'd be difficult.
Next
But that
time.
would be so next time. Yeah, we don't have the resources, but yeah, shout out to them. Thanks for
Yes.
joining us.
You know who
hopefully-
you are.
They're probably not listening this far.
Yeah, no,
but-
definitely not.
Maybe.
We'll
Hello if
tell
you
them
are.
to, and
Yeah.
then they'll skip to this
yeah,
part.
thank you if you are.
We gave you a shout out, but we didn't acknowledge you by name.
Yeah, copyright or privacy.
Privacy, yes.
Yeah, you didn't send the release, so we can't.
Yeah, we didn't sign a performance release or anything, so
Rights to life.
rights to life, yeah.
Yeah.
Domain name.
Domain.
Okay.
Let's keep it going. Let's get the
Yeah,
eight
now,
more- eight
now,
more
and now
minutes-
7 minutes of silence.
7 more minutes of
No, please.
nonsense, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for sticking around. And this has been 808 and Hot Takes. I'm Palmer Wells.
I'm Evan Parrish.
And I am Paul.
And we'll see you down the road.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
Adios.
Goodbye. Bye.